Welcome to Flip Lesson 83, all about proportions. Proportions is a nice, fun word that is really something that we've been working with time and time again throughout this year, and we're just going to look at it and see how it all works together. A proportion is a true statement that two ratios are equal. All right, and so basically we're looking similar to what we would call equivalent fractions. And so we have this example. If you go to a store and we see that bananas are $4 per 2 pounds. In other words, we have this ratio of if you spend $4, you're going to get 2 pounds of bananas. Now the question is, if RJ spent $20 on bananas, how many pounds of bananas did he buy? And so to set this problem up, we're going to basically create an equivalent fraction where now we have $20. That's what we know. And now we want to understand, okay, what is missing here? What should our denominator be, which is going to give us our pounds? And to do this, of course, we're going to say, okay, well, how does $4 become $20? And you're going to say, well, 4 times 5 equals $20. So if I do it to the top, I must do it to the bottom. And so 2 times 5 is going to give us an answer of 10. And so in the end, we discovered that $4 will give us 2 pounds and $20 will give us 10 pounds. And so we have a final answer of 10 pounds. And so we have an example of how a proportion can work. Sometimes proportions, they're just written out in a sentence, such just like this. It says, write this proportion with digits. It says 5 is to 10 as 8 is to 16. Now the question would be, well, how do you actually write that? How do you write out this comparison so that it makes sense? Well, in the end, we're just going to read it, and we're going to put our numbers down as we are reading it. It says 5 is to 10. So we have this is to this. And so we're going to start with 5. 5 is to 10, right, as, right, so it's going to be equal to 8 is to 16. And as you look at those two proportions that are down there, you say, yes, those are equal because both of them are 1/2, right? 5 is half of 10, just like 8 is half of 16. And even though, as you look at 10 to 16, you might say, well, how does 10 become 16? You might not see that connection. The connection you should see is that they are both equal to 1/2. And so we know that they are what we would say proportionate or proportional because they are the same. Now, sometimes the sentences read just slightly differently, right? It says 2 is to 5 as what number is to 15. So in this case, it's saying 2 is to 5 as what number is to 15. Now, in this case, we're going to say, okay, I don't know what this is right here. So how are we going to find that out? And this is going to bring us back to looking at equivalent fractions. And that idea is that since 5, right, it's going to be equivalent, there must be something that takes our 5 and turns it into 15. And of course, that would be 3. 5 times 3 gives us 15. And if I do it to the bottom, I need to do it to the top. And so 2 times 3 is going to give us a 6 over here. And so what number are we looking for here? Our number, of course, would be 6. 2 is to 5, just like 6 is to 15. All right, that's our initial look at proportions. We're going to continue looking at proportions in the next few lessons, but let's take this approach for now, and here's your sample problem to look at proportions. That is lesson 83.